Yes, my Straight Talk family, again, I want to say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night to the entire Caribbean region. Good night to the world. And I do want to apologize for that technical glitch we had due to circumstances really beyond our control. But that's just to apologize. And again, welcome to this edition of Straight Talk. Special welcome to those in the diaspora in North America, in Europe, Asia, and Africa, because we beam all over the world. So it's time for me to say good night. And I want to just, since we've lost some time, just move right into it, extend condolences to all those who have lost loved ones. And in particular, I say to those who are ill, we wish them well and trust that and hope that you will improve as the time progresses. We normally have our observations in review. I'll just be very brief with such, but just to keep you posted, my Straight Talk family, in that since our last conversation, things politically has changed in the United Kingdom, and the UK has appointed its third Prime Minister, believe you me, its third Prime Minister in just 50 days. Very interesting. We have on board now Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, an Indian by descent.
Economic crisis. The army in Ukraine has destabilized energy markets and supply chains the world over. I want to pay tribute to my predecessor, Liz Truss. She was not wrong to want to improve growth in this country, but some mistakes were made. And I have been elected as leader of my party and your Prime Minister to fix them. I will unite our country, not with words, but with action. This government will have integrity, professionalism, and accountability at every level. Trust is earned, and I will earn yours.
Yes, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was appointed by King Charles III, and that's an excerpt from his first statement he made to the British people as Prime Minister. And our second observation, my Straight Talk family, our second observation, and having listened to the British Prime Minister commit to accountability and trust, Straight Talk will continue to raise the questions as well, raise questions about our CBI program, because we have raised questions and we have not received any responses, because it's important to know how many passports have been sold under the program. In 2018, we were told that some 16,544 citizenship applications were approved and an equal number of passports processed. That was told back then in 2018. But Straight Talk has also been reliably informed that since coming to office, the current Prime Minister in the past 3 months has signed approximately 1,500 passports. We have not heard any response. There's no denial, nothing at all, no comment. But furthermore, we've also learned that the overall figure of 30,000 passports that have been processed since the inception of the CBI in 1984 has neither been denied and or clarified. And this information must be important to the country. Must be. Because as these economic citizens from Nigeria, some from China, from Russia, and other countries around the world, they can contribute to increasing inequalities and unequal representation of different socio-economic classes within St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's why it's important. The information is important because it can lead to different socio-economic classes within St. Kitts and Nevis. Let's take that seriously. But the CBI program must be run in a manner which is legal and transparent and in keeping with the Constitution of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. This ideally could prevent corruption and would establish the sound legal right to these new citizenships. And our third observation tonight relates to our road infrastructure. And road infrastructure, beg your pardon, road infrastructure plays a crucial role in the economic development of every country, as it provides mobility for the efficient movements of people and goods, or goods and services, as well as accessibility to a wide variety of commercial and social activities. Investment in our Island Main Road, including the building of resilience across Old Road Bay, costing the country over $100 million, must be significant. It has to be significant. And when one will say it's not so, I have a serious problem with that.
I want to say, Madam Speaker, important that investment be given the prestige that it deserves. Why do I say that? It is because since August 5th, and all of our members on this side know, that we have been getting calls, lots of calls, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I imagine in other parts of the world, it is day when it is the 4 in the morning here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have been bombarded by persons who are interested in investing in St. Kitts and Nevis. And of note, Madam Speaker, we must say that we have not seen any significant major investment in the last 7 years.
And my Street Talk family, I heard the Honorable Marshal Hendrickson report that the cruise ship calls for the upcoming season will return to pre-COVID levels. And to be frank, the pre-COVID levels, we were at 1.3 million passengers. And I heard some bashing of the former Minister of Tourism to the extent that he did nothing in tourism. And irrespective of how I feel about him, what I said about him, I do not agree with that position in terms of what the former tourism minister did in relation to cruise ship calls. So this is, I recall, like I said, the cruise ship calls for the upcoming season will return. And the fact that we did 1.3 million passengers in 2019 season, I think it was, and before that season, 2018, we also did over 1 million passengers. And this is because of our major investment of over $130 million in the second cruise pier. So what is investment to Prime Minister Drew? Is investment some foreigner coming from North or South Carolina with an empty briefcase, who then goes to the National Bank for a loan and fails to pay the National Bank, or is given $43 million from the SIDF? Is that what we call investment? Investment, Prime Minister, can be derived from many and varying sources. So please stop insulting our intelligence as a people by saying that there has been no significant investment or no major investment for the past 7 years in St. Kitts. Because that proposition, to put it mildly, is just absurd. But these are my observations in review for tonight, and I will move as the time flies into my thesis for tonight, which is an historic opening session of Parliament. But before embarking, however, on my presentation, I must reflect briefly on a conversation I had with a friend of mine just yesterday. And he reminded me that there are three things that we cannot hide or cannot hide for long. And these three things are the sun, the moon, and the truth. We can't hide those things. I've always said from the moment I began hosting this talk show, and I have at times implored my listeners, my viewers, and my callers to speak the truth. I even warned you, however, that in St. Kitts Nevis, when you speak the truth, you must be prepared to stand alone. And it seems as though we have just gone right back to that position. When you speak the truth in St. Kitts Nevis, you have to be prepared to stand alone. Now more so than ever, because it seems as though we are living in an era where nobody wants to be magnanimous. We live in a society where there is no generosity, there is no forgiveness, especially toward an opponent. But I'm comforted by the words of Nelson Mandela, who once said that a good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Did you hear me? Nelson Mandela said that a good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Now, all of us may not agree, but I say tonight that history was made on Tuesday, the 25th of October, 2022, with the new session of Parliament opened with much pomp and ceremony at the Royal St. Kitts Marriott Hotel in Frigate Bay. The Federation got a glimpse of Her Excellency Marcella Liburd in what many predict is her future role as head of state. In the absence of Governor General Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, the current representative of His Majesty the King, the Governor General's deputy read the throne speech, which is always the main part of such highly symbolic occasions. But with the countless rumors that abound concerning the current disposition of the Governor General, the move can only be interpreted as a significant shift in the responsibilities and future role of the incumbent head of state. Recall that the Governor General issued a proclamation which was read by the clerk of the National Assembly. And she read this.
I, Sir Samuel Weymouth, Distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Royal Victorian Order, King's Counsel, Justice of the Peace, Doctor of Laws, Governor General of St. Christopher and Nevis, in exercise of the powers in me vested, do by this my proclamation summon the National Assembly and appoint Tuesday, the 25th day of October 2022 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort in the island of St. Christopher as the time and place at which the first sitting of the said assembly shall be held for the dispatch of public business. Given under my hand and the public seal of St. Christopher and Nevis at Government House, Bastille, this 17th day of October 2022, in the first year of His Majesty's reign. God save the King.
God save the King. Yes, the Governor General issued that proclamation, but the Governor General's deputy read the throne speech. Interesting.
I will now invite Her Excellency, the Governor General's Deputy, to deliver the throne speech.
That's how it went. The Speaker invited the Governor General's Deputy to deliver the throne speech. The reasons for this remain a state secret, like many other things, and to do anything otherwise is to speculate, and on straight up, we don't. The ceremony was a first for the next in line to occupy Government House, since according to Prime Minister Drew, St. Kitts and Nevis will soon have, or there's a prospect, let me be accurate, there is a prospect that St. Kitts and Nevis will have its first woman Governor General.
As a matter of fact, there's a high possibility in the House. And there is also the prospect of our first female Governor General. Let's stay tuned for announcements.
Well, in advance, it may be in order to congratulate Master Liburd, who will one day be the representative of King Charles III. As Prime Minister Drew instructed the nation, we will therefore stay tuned for announcements, because that cannot be a loose statement. In the meantime, we all observe that for the first time, at least the last two opening sessions of Parliament, all, underline, all the elected representatives showed up. Ironically, in the past, the Labour Party elected representative boycotted the sessions, or both sessions of 2015 and 2020, but they were on the opposition benches. And that's the first in a long time where all the elected representatives showed up on both the opposition and the government benches for the opening session of Parliament. How many of us recognize that for the first time in our history, the Parliament consists of 3 prime ministers? That's the first. 1 current and 2 former prime ministers. How many of us recognize that? The 4th and current prime minister, Terence Drew, was first to take his oath of allegiance to His Majesty King Philip, His Majesty King Charles, beg your pardon, His Majesty King Charles III. And the 4th Prime Minister and one of the 3 in Parliament took his oath of allegiance.
I, Dr. Terence, will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
Yes, he took his oath of allegiance, my straight dog family. The second and former Prime Minister, Denzil Llewellyn Douglas, now Senior Minister in the Drew Labour administration, also took his oath of allegiance to King Charles III, King of England, my straight dog family. And Denzil Llewellyn Douglas did take his oath of office.
I, Denzil Llewellyn Douglas, faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
So the second Prime Minister in Parliament, and presently sitting on the opposition bench, is our third and former Prime Minister Harris, who too took the oath of allegiance to the King. Unfortunately, order in the gallery of the Parliament momentarily broke down.
I invite Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris, elected representative for St. Christopher 7.
Order.
I, Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
So yes, my Straight Dog family, 3 prime ministers sitting in Parliament concurrently. That's for the first time in our history. 2 former and 1 present. But for the first time in our history as well, there are 6 women in the Parliament. 1 elected, the Honorable Marshall Henderson, the member from constituency number 2, St. Christopher 2, and 2 nominated members sitting on the government bench. 1 nominated on the opposition bench as well, plus a woman speaker and a woman clerk of the assembly. So 6 women in Parliament, and that too has to be a first. But the speech written by the government and gave an overview of the socio-economic agenda of Prime Minister Drew's administration, with the aim, one can deduce, towards substantially transforming the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis over the next 5 years.
I am pleased to present to the nation a government which I am confident will substantially transform the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis over the next 5 years.
And my Straight Dog family, having listened to the full content of the throne speech and being cognizant of the fact that government is continuous, I was pleased to note that the new Labour administration would continue some programs introduced by its predecessor. Many promises were made, some of which have stood out in my mind. But the more important takeaways to me are: 1, the PAP re-registration. The PAP re-registration is an important takeaway from the throne speech.
Our government will enhance the poverty alleviation net to truly empower the most vulnerable and improve their standard of living, thereby eradicating indigence and significantly reducing poverty. We are also well advanced with the rollout of the re-registration process. Citizens and residents enrolled in the PAP will therefore be reassessed based on need. We also strongly believe that there should be a process to wean persons off the program. In this regard, our government will introduce special programs to assist recipients to improve their lot so that they can graduate out of the program and create space for others needing the support. This approach will ensure the success sustainability, and longevity of the PAP, and other important social safety net programs.
The second takeaway from the throne speech is the revamping of the peace program. My Street Talk family.
When we look at the Alternative Lifestyle Pathway Program, better known as the Peace Program, and the way it has operated since its introduction, our government believes that most citizens would agree that there is a better way for empowering our at-risk young men and women. Our government will improve the Peace Program by making skills training an integral component for the participation of each beneficiary. Young men and women enrolled in the Peace Initiative would be given the opportunity to learn a marketable skill and will be provided with support to either acquire gainful employment or opportunities to start their own businesses. Participants in this program will also have a pathway for development and graduation. It is envisaged that the program's graduates would become more positive and productive citizens and contribute to the overall development of the Federation.
As a strong proponent, my people, of continuous improvement, I welcome the introduction of steps, I welcome the introduction of measures that will reduce any corrupt practices within the PAP program. Also, the introduction of processes that hopefully will improve the services and ensure the sustainability of such social safety net programs that are supported by the government. I must warn, however, that these improvements cannot happen overnight, or they cannot happen all at once. So we must be wary, we must be careful with the possible disruption to the lives of the vulnerable lot amongst us. Also the possible deepening of poverty in our country. I recall as well the Labour commitment as advertised. Labour will mend the PAP program up to $1,500 per month per family. Each family attached to a social worker, free employment training, free business plan development, better with Labour. That is what they committed to the electorate. But things change as times change. But continuous improvement to help build a work culture that encourages those on the peace program to share ideas for improvement is a good thing. The constitutional, electoral, and legislative reform are also long overdue. So as we embark upon this process, we look forward to the consultative process as we continue to build on our past achievements to ensure the sustainable development of our federation of 2 islands and 1 beautiful paradise. But my time is fast moving on and I want to hear from you. But in my view, it was an historic opening session of Parliament, and now it's time for nation building. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. But I will open the lines and entertain your calls and your views. And just remember, my Straight Talk family, on this program, everyone, tut mung bagay, tulamu, everyone are entitled to his or her own view. But I want to implore you, as I open the lines, I'll do so in a couple of seconds, respect yourselves, or respect others, I should say. But to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things you say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in doing and or saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, at 17 before the 9 o'clock hour, I go to the lines and take my first call. Caller, you're live.
Good evening, Patrick. Hope all is well, sir.
All is peaceful, my brother. What about yourself?
Good, hanging in there. Just quickly, whatever happened to Mr. Politics? Did he get the wind knocked out of him? I mean, he has abandoned Mr. Culture, and, you know, what's going on? Come on, Mr. Politics, be a man, like Mr. Culture, and stand up. No, Patches, just another thing I want to ask. Is that girl, she don't believe in God, Marsha Henderson? Because when the clerk was giving her the Bible to swear on, everybody else used the Bible because this is a Christian nation. But she refused to take the Bible and wouldn't touch the Bible. You think it's a Nevis is a Christian nation? Why? What? I mean, she came across as arrogant and disrespectful to the Christian nation, Miss Marsha Henderson. So we got to keep our eye on this girl, man. Yeah, something is wrong.
Yeah, but in fairness to the Honorable Marsha Henderson, I believe you have the option to what's it called? You take an oath or an affirmation. The affirmation when you raise your hand, but the oath is when you take the Bible in your right hand.
Well, I don't suppose she used the Bible. Everybody has used the Bible. So what she said to some guy who's on the press, said, oh, the police giving people. She said, oh, that's going to be going through. So I'm going by where she stopped. Let me explain to you. If she worked for Ratchet, from the time she stepped out of that parliament, she would have been fired pronto. Bratcher was he had his dictatorial ways, but he was a very Christian man. All his political meetings he opened, praise God from whom all blessing flow. You see, so why you don't want to pour kind of no, we want to see the Bible. This is a Christian nation, and Christianity is on the threat. We got to understand these protocols, these civilized protocols. We got to adhere to them, because if we don't, our people could become, African savages in no time. So we have to adhere to these protocols. So you need to talk to her. She can't do that. What's wrong with her? No, this girl, who's going to be the next governor, this speech was good. She didn't make a lot of mistakes and everything. But the thing is, isn't this the girl, our former prime minister said, was sitting in cabinet and doing all kind of work and have millions of dollars. So they're going to put $1 million up there and kind of what our former prime minister said. So we have to look at these things. We cannot live like this. And why these people think like that to what's his name, Harris? They don't understand what Harris did for them. Harris saved them from another Haiti. Douglas is taking Haiti, sink his tongue. He's a fascist. He was taking sink his tongue. Harris had to stand up for them, but they just labor dog behavior. Labor dog behavior. Okay, but you want to stand for this.
Yeah, but you don't have to go there now. But I understand.
Patches, free speech. Okay? So please, Patches, don't go there, please. But all I'm saying, we have to have all this shit. But you hear this guy, what the Queen and the heels and the King and the heels. You got a non-white man over in England saying the same thing. Things is not the way it is. We have to be a civilized people. Otherwise, we're going to start slaughtering each other like that. They can still have it started. Okay? But Marsha needed to have the Bible in hand like everybody else. Okay. Patches, I have more stuff to say, but I'm going to move on. I know you start today. Mr. Politics, get on out and be like culture. Okay, have a good evening, Patches.
Have a good evening as well. Always, very assertive, very, you come to the point. But as again, I believe you have an option. Not I believe, I know you have an option to take an oath or give an affirmation. So the oath, I believe you take the Bible. The affirmation, you raise your right hand, I think it is, and read the oath. That's the choice of the minister. Let's go back to the lines. It's 12 before 9 o'clock. Caller, you're live. And let's be tolerant, my people. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
That's me.
That's you are live.
I am on.
Yes, sounds like Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, I am here. I am here.
And you're doing
Let me turn down the radio. Let me turn down the radio.
Yes, please.
Mr. Liburd, I'm here. The England minister sound like a them, like these in government. Who write the speech? That then sound like a Mr. Tapley. Anyway, since the lady gonna be next to him, she do it and to get at him. And the PAP program, most of the people is their people. So we want to see what's gonna happen. That's why they're not happy. Something wrong with them. I can't tell you what to let people call and say. Me culture and manners was there for you. Now you have your new cook and say you to finish Old Road Bay. They're not going to come to tell you that, but they must come on. You know they don't like you long time, and now you hear those hooligans over the hotel because Timothy was there. That's why 10 man in one come back. He want to be prime minister to finish his 20 years back since the born. Problem going come out of it because he not even second in command. Labour, all who was around Timothy, there is Labour now, shame on them. And the Nevis minister was saying today, like it's a joke, and they was laughing at them because we over here now. That's nothing for you to say. You know they're over there because it's them make their own self over there. See you.
Thank you very much, my dear lady. And we asked a question, a good question. What do you think about the re-registration of the PAP, those recipients of PAP? And yes, there were issues with PAP. You hear so many issues. One is supposed to be a household, but you find 3 and 4 people you understand it. I don't know if it's true. You hear that in the same household receiving the PAP. What about the revamping of the peace program, as well as the constitutional, electoral, and legislative reform? These are issues raised. I don't know if I missed it. I didn't hear anything relating to food and shelter. But just to be clear, the throne speech is the government speech. It's written on behalf of the government. Caller, you're live. Thank you for holding.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Ian Patrick Liburd. How are you, brother?
Your humble servant is peaceful. Yourself?
Yes, man. I'm humble too, man. I'm humble. Thank God. Thank God. Well, the peace program has been revamped already.
Yes.
I think it was 2013 when we had 35 murders. It has been revamped since that year. That is enough for that.
We didn't have the peace program in 2013.
No, but the crime cut down. After that, you remember the 35 murders?
Yes, but
yeah.
Make a point. Yeah.
Okay. Peace instead of war is what we get. Okay. Now, I am going to be who I am until I die. I will never change. Nobody could buy my conscience. No money on earth could buy my conscience. I don't care who it is. And you do wrong, and it's pertaining to the public interest, and I could say something to make you stop it, I'm going to say it. And who want to vex?
You should.
Yeah, let my conscience be my guide. Let my conscience be my dictator. Nobody at all, I'm afraid of you. Nobody to say nobody what to say. Now, that is what start wrong cannot end right. If you patch up and you get it aligned with the part that is straight, it costs money to bring it what it is. So it still ain't end right. Now, how could Dr. Joe get up in Parliament and talk to the whole world that in 7 years, no investment in the country? Dr. Joe, stop it.
He should stop that.
Stop it, man. Eh?
Is disingenuous. He should.
Exactly. What happened to Old Road Bay? What happened to the Oil and Main Road? What happened to the other infrastructures all around the place? Eh?
The cruise spear, I mean, it's over $100 million.
All right. Well, maybe the shark them eat out the pier. What they were saying, oh, they build the pier in shark infested waters. Maybe the shark them eat it, so he can't see the pier. So he can't say that is investment. Man, you are gone in there to build the country for St. Kitts and Nevis, not for no Labour Party, no political party. The country is all of us our own, and you all got to stop it. You all must do what you all say you're going to do when you get in there. We expect that. And everybody's supposed to respect the office of those who lead the country. You hear that? That come out the Bible. Now, another thing again with the swearing business. I want to know when they're going to change something on that. I, Mr. Bonanzi, do swear that I will pledge allegiance to the king, his heirs and successors. So what happened to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis too? That need to be added. Then how are you going to make them vote? Because what they're telling us, that you all don't care about the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, only the people up there in England, the heirs and successors. Come on, people, stop all the disrespect to us. Stop it. One, Patrick, let me touch another thing now. When Dr. Douglas was in there, he said the sugar will close over his dead body. Okay? That means he ain't going to close because he ain't seen nothing else there for the country to lean on economically. But the sugar was closed and he ain't dead yet, and he do it. But what I know, a lot of the sugar workers, them, they take it to heart. Take that sugar to heart and it trigger off underlying issues that they had. And a lot of them gone to the great beyond, short paid. Working in Carefield is harder work than anything else after Brimstone Hill done build. Ants, courage, prickle, hot sun, rain come catch you, you get cold. Fall down going on hill with cane coming up. And they never get the rightful pay yet, never. And at the end of the sugar industry, when they're supposed to get the good money, they were short paid. And that is all of that there is what he must talk about when he come talk about the country need to get them in agriculture. Let the word come out the Douglas mouth. I respect him, but keep the word out to my Patrick. I'll come back if anything else there to say. Follow.
Fall out, my brother. Thanks a lot, soldier. It's now 4 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour. We go straight back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Patrick, good night.
Yes, sir, Jam Dog. Get in the habit of locking off your radio or your computer. Always good to hear.
Yeah, I'm on it.
Thank you, my brother. How are you tonight?
I'm Patrick. Yeah, I'm fine. I want to say 3 cheers to Dr. Timothy Harris for delivering. And junior parliamentarian must watch and learn. They must watch and learn. I want to shout out Miss Clark. You must sit down in the benches alone when you see a parliamentarian talking, senior parliamentarian. Because you can't match that by shoes. It takes time to do that, Miss Clark. No doctorate could make you the area. You got to take your time to reach there. Not even who you worship had to listen to him deliver. That's how great the guy is. That's the only politician when the parliament today. I got so much a call from people from the States today, here, Patrick. One thing away, what we make about that, what we make about that is a politician, a natural politician could deliver himself. And no one from the donkeys and the rest could destroy him. He's a politician. I'm sorry, Robert Wetchen. He ain't nothing very to tell you. Leave the man alone. Young man, continue your work because you're looking at the poor people. I don't want you to understand the healing. Because, today I really thought that these guys would have come to deal with something to help our poor people with food in these groceries, I really thought that Joe ain't thinking as a young man and trying to understand what the country is facing through the war and this recession. Joe is not thinking. Now he looked to me like Joe going on the road with Douglas. Please put that politics. Have a good night. I will be back.
Thank you very much, my dear brother Jam Down. That's a very important intervention there in terms of your expectation. I wonder if that was the expectation of other people as well in terms of the legislation that was brought to the Parliament. Important legislation. I don't know how important it is to the average man in terms of dealing with the bread and butter issues. Food on the table, as you said, the high gas prices, and the list will go on and on. But let's go back to the lines. I'll call you live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I'm here.
You're live.
I just want to know who they fool in. They say they was going to raise the money.
Which money?
The top money.
Oh, the PAP, yes. Well, they were going to mend the PAP.
No, but
they were going to mend the PAP instead of ending it. Mend it with $1,500.
Mend it mean what?
Well, they were going to increase it. That was the poster I saw. Mend the PAP.
Yeah.
Yes. So instead of increasing.
And now they're going. Okay. And now they still want to stop it. They're going to stop it.
Well, they're not stopping it, but they are re-registration.
So where they raise the promised people, because Timothy was to give raise after the election, but they cheat him out so he can't give them a raise. With them supposed to come up with a raise because they say it. And today they stop the hooligans from going on because they know they would have been starting something. Thank God our best Prime Minister win his seat, but it's the cheating. And Drew in the hospital every day, and Timothy is in front of him and want to say all kind of things about the corona, how bad they could get. He fixed them good. He does so much things, they don't even thank him. They want to find something wrong to say about him. He's going to be there in their skin. Come clean, 7 years he did. They just know that he ain't do nothing and them gonna do. But since about said, thank God he get back and they over there. And thank God who did not want Timothy back together again. They have to talk. They could have been there. Best Prime Minister, you're looking strong. Stay strong. God with you. You was there, not them. Stand up. All that the pastor was saying, like is them gonna do everything. Timothy had them to do. Have a good night. Get home safely. Business.
Have a good night as well, my dear lady. And as I said in the beginning, there are three things that we cannot hide. Or even they are hidden, they're not hidden for too long. One, the moon, the sun, and the truth. You just cannot hide those three things. And no more than ever, we need to be respectful. We need to be magnanimous. We need to be forgiving. As I said earlier as well, Nelson Mandela quotation, or a Nelson Mandela quotation I'm familiar with, it says, a good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. And this email reads, and I read all my emails, no matter what you write, I don't put them to the trash can, I read them. And this one reads, since you want to know how many passports are out there, ask Timo the last number he recalls that sold, then add the figure you claim Jew sold. Simple mathematics. Very interesting. But the last time Timo gave us the numbers, that was 2018, and I said to you, and I said to the world, that in 2018, according to then Prime Minister Harris, there was 16,544 passports. And this is what the then Prime Minister said about the passports.
Last time I had reported who manages our passport, the 10,777 had been issued at the end of December 2015. And we have the revised information from the banknote, which says that up to 2015, really, the figure should have been 12,496. And the total number of CBI passport now issued stands at 16,544.
And that was the figure in 2018. 16,544 passports. As I said, we are reliably informed that some 1,500 passports or passport applications, or citizenship applications, I should say, was signed by the new Prime Minister. And yes, he has not denied it, he has not made a comment on it. But we are saying we need to know how many passports were sold. And I stand by that. And I give reasons for that, because if we don't know and determine whether we should control it now or later, we will be in trouble. We will be in trouble, I submit, my straight dog family. Because you see, if we don't know who has our passports, it can contribute to increasing inequalities and unequal representation of different socio-economic classes in this country. And that's my view, and I'm not going to change it. Call you live.
Mr. Patrick, good night.
Good night, my brother.
Bye. I listened to the House Assembly today. And when the former Prime Minister started to talk, because the government then, minister then, look like they don't want to say nothing, because they start with the opposition. And when Brandon John finished and everywhere, and Mr. Harris started to talk, it looked like all of them, like a dung wreck, how went in, you know, when rain fall, you see how they hold them dung wreck? Boy, Harris was on the bar. They couldn't stop him. He didn't fool to talk. He looked like he was on a stage this morning. So, Mr. Patrick, all I have to tell you, I'm going to encourage you, no? Be strong and be courageous. God will tell Joshua so. You understand? He tell Moses, between Moses and John, there shall not a man be able to stand before you all the days of the life. Patrick, when you start to talk the truth, I could tell you this, because I know it for a fact. When I was used to work at the port, I was so torn up there. One day I see a man went in a woman barrel, take out a Vienna sausage, and I sack it to him. And every look at people come down on me and say, hey, me not care what you're saying, and nobody could move me. The man went to keep people then think that he's supposed to get out of the shed. So when you do the right thing, you ain't going to get no friend. You are not going to get no friend. But the odds is not going to be against you because you don't do good make you. According to Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7, be not deceived, God is not mocked. And whatsoever man so it shall also reap. So Mr. Patrick, you're going good. Don't let nobody stop you. You be strong. People looking for you every Monday night and every Thursday night to hear the truth. And I'm going to tell you something, you know. Listen, God set up and God bring down, and God is a God, and nobody could stand in your way. So that is the situation there tonight. So you take care of yourself, will you, Mr. Prophet? All the best.
All the best, my dear brother. The good book says, is it in John, I think it is. The good book says, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light, and the life. No one cometh unto the Father but through me. It depends on the version, it says, except through me. There's so many different versions on that. But like I said, you know, there are issues. And in terms of the throne speech as well, you would have listened. The throne speech outlines the socio-economic agenda of the government. What do you think about what you've heard? Are the issues that are important, were they covered for you? What captured me as well was the constitutional, electoral, and legislative reform that's promised. They also promised a consultative process, which means they will go out, no doubt, and have town hall meetings, meet the people, have an input from the people. Because this electoral reform issue, we've been talking about for ages, well over 15 years now. And I'm not certain if we really want electoral reform. Look at it, for example. There's a local election coming up anytime now, it seems, from all the things that are going on in Nevis. The local election is due anytime now, or will be called, I'm sure, anytime now, based on what you see happening in Nevis. The infrastructure projects. You hear some talk now about geothermal and all these things coming up. But what's interesting, the campaign has started overseas, went to the Virgin Islands, and now they're going to Canada and the USA for a local election. Imagine that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Caller, could you just turn your radio down, your equipment down? Major, good Major, how are you? Could you just turn your radio down, your computer down, whatever you're listening to? I'm hearing it, but just Just turn your equipment down, your radio down.
Yes, you don't.
Turn it off, turn it off, my dear brother. Can you?
Yes.
I want the whole world to hear you.
All right, Patches, you know that I'm listening to you as regards to the Bible, which is very good.
Make sure you have your radio on, you know.
All right, okay, all right.
I'll wait for a few seconds. Just turn it off and listen to the telephone.
Yes, it's off. It's off now.
You're a good man. You're a good man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Listen, I like to hear. You know, you're a biblical man. Maybe you come from Newton like me, or not like. All I want to tell you, Pat, is that I believe you are a talented young man. Jesus was a talented man.
I'm humbled.
Who you think he was looking for guidance? He looked for guidance from his father, right?
Yes.
You listen?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yes, he looked for guidance from his father. So we don't have to worry about anything. I understand what the world is going on, and let us be calm in our deliberation, right?
True.
Because Jesus had to do that because he had loved his father. And I believe that you love think it, just as I do. So let me just take it easy and just listen to what's going on, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Major. Thanks for your intervention and your guidance as usual. And yes, it was coming from John 14, verse 6. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. And in chapter 8:32, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. So, the truth is one thing you cannot hide, and the truth will set you free. And for those who have just joined me, I welcome you to this edition of Straight Talk. We had some technical difficulties in the beginning. In fact, I understand that we dropped out for some time, but we are back. And our caption tonight, an historic opening session of Parliament. And my Straight Talk family, when we reflect on what transpired on Tuesday, I'm sure when we reflect, we will all agree that the new session of Parliament, which opened with much pomp and ceremony at the Royal St. Kitts Marriott Hotel in Frigate Bay. There are some who pondered as to why we went to Frigate Bay, but one could understand you wanted in your first session to have as many persons invited, because the chamber, or the Parliament Assembly Chamber, I think it's called, in downtown Bastia, is very small. And it is about time. I recall there was some discussion already about building a dedicated chamber for the National Assembly. But we got a glimpse of someone who many predict, even according to the Prime Minister, who will be the next head of state. But what is very strange, though, is that the incumbent Governor General, he issued a proclamation, but his deputy, appointed Governor General deputy, gave the throne speech. The proclamation, excerpts of this proclamation was read by the clerk of the National Assembly.
The most distinguished Order of St. Michael and St. George, Commander of the Royal Victorian Order, King's Counsel, Justice of the Peace, Doctor of Laws, Governor General of St. Christopher and Nevis, in exercise of the powers in me vested, do by this my proclamation summon the National Assembly and appoint Tuesday, the 25th day of October, 2022, at 10 o'clock in the forenoon at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort in the island of St. Christopher, as the time and place at which the first sitting of the said assembly shall be held for the dispatch of public business. Given under my hand and the public seal of St. Christopher and Nevis at Government House, Bastille, this 17th day of October 2022, in the first year of His Majesty's reign. God save the King.
And yes, in absence of the Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seton, who issued the proclamation, the throne speech was read by the Governor General's deputy, Her Excellency Marcella Liburd. And we can only conclude that sooner rather than later there will be a new Governor General. And I'm coming to that conclusion on the basis of these comments made by Prime Minister Joe.
Of the House. And there is also the prospect of our first female Governor General. Let's stay tuned for announcements.
Well, he asked us to stay tuned for announcements, but we don't know if the incumbent Governor General was asked to demit office. We don't know if he is incapacitated, if he's ill, but we know that a Governor General's deputy was appointed, and the Constitution is very clear about that. But with the countless rumors that abound, everything just seemed to remain a state secret. But the reasons, as you say, we don't know. But in advance, many are already congratulating Her Excellency Marcella Liburd. But how many of us, for those who have just joined, I asked the question, how many of us recognize that for the first time in our history, our current parliament makeup consists of 3 prime ministers? Isn't that the first? To have 2 former prime ministers and 1 current prime minister sitting in the parliament? One on the opposition bench and the other 2 on the government bench. But it was sad though. It was really sad for those of you who missed it. The 3 prime ministers took their oath of allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III.
That I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God.
I, Denzel Llewellyn Douglas, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors according to law. So help me God.
I invite Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris, elected representative for St. Christopher 7.
Order.
I, Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris, do swear that I will faithfully bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, his heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
That's not behavior one expects in the parliament. But I want to ask a question. I'm going to ask you, because I have been asking myself if I know a different Timothy Harris. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Good night again.
Good night, sir.
Patrick, good night again.
Yes, my dear brother Jamdo. Good night.
Patrick, you gotta blame the Speaker of the House, because it appears to me the Speaker is under control. Like, it's just a labor thing. Because look, this is an elected MP. Both Prime Ministers swear their allegiance and see how they were stuck in a chair that couldn't work in tokens, that couldn't work in nothing with Russia. And then they're going to work in Parliament in Russia. You can't overstep. Nobody in the middle is going to talk in the assembly. And these people, she's young. And I challenge her to go better than that. Because the whole world calling shame on you. Your house like what makes a Congo house. I said, we have to talk these things. And I want to tell Major, you know, that you're telling all some people we have something common. And these brilliant people, so Major, you know these two areas have brilliant women. I'm practicing a brilliant man. He raised up in nothing but he built himself a whole sport, music, community development. Texas has made a name in this country. And the technocrats are bringing down once me jam no idea. Have a good night, my brother. You know where you could go, especially me.
I'm humbled, my brother. Thanks a lot for your commendation, my dear brother Jam Down. Patches, why is the government dragging their feet on the pap? Reads this email. During the election, they had a whole heap of talk about it, how they're going to improve it and make it better. When is this going to be? People needs help now. There were no mention of it today in the House of Parliament. The poor and needy are far from their minds. They need to start the re-registration now if they really care about people. Reads that email. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Okay, we seem to have missed that caller. Yes, my Stray Dog family, the re-registration. It's very interesting in terms of the possible, negative impact that will have on some people who really need it. Now, let's face it, the program need to be addressed. Some of the things, if you're hearing if they're true, then you need to address them. Well, let's go to the lines. We'll talk about that after this call. Call you live.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. That is,
my brother,
somewhere in the book of Proverbs, it said, answer not a fool to his folly, as he would be wise in his own conceit. You know what that means? A foolish person, the only thing they can understand is foolishness. So it makes no sense trying to teach them sense because they cannot understand nothing else but foolishness. But when you hear a sensible person talking foolishness, then you have to answer them and correct them. Okay? That is what the scripture means. Now what took place over Marriott Tuesday. That is the behavior, the reactions of the people who was in there going out with the foolishness. I mean that is so despicable that people all over the world who know of little St. Kitts and Nevis, all because of our little great Kim Collins, went over there and let them know there's a place called St. Kitts and Nevis. And they respect it. And now to hear these people here at the throne speech, with that kind of behavior in the same boo, just like Jamnong say, the speaker should have condemned that right away. Not just order. Stand up and let them know. That kind of behavior is not being tolerated and it will not be tolerated. So when again they come talking about investment, what happened to the house we struck over there, babe? That is a spoiled investment. What happened to the sidewalk you build up boardwalk? Is that a spoiled investment? What happened to the traffic lights? Are they spoiled investment? When they come talking about they ain't seen no investment in 7 years? Come on, people, speak the truth. Straight talk is about speaking the truth. If you ain't speak the truth, shut up, because you sound better when you ain't speak the truth. That is, have a good night, okay? Thank you.
Have yourself a good night as well. Thanks for your intervention. You know, my Straight Dog family, I listened as well to the presentation made by the member from St. Christopher 7 and former Prime Minister, Timothy Harris. And I've heard some and seen some reaction, and it behoves me. I find it difficult to understand why people have lost all their tolerance. You know? And I was happy when the member from number 11, Nevis 11, got up to defend in some way the government that he was part of. Because the point was being made that everything that was done during the period of the COVID pandemic, a pandemic that the world did not see in a century. In our lifetime, we didn't see that. Over 100 years. There was no template with any sort of guidance how to deal with it. But the way that they literally, dismiss all these professionals, the chief medical officer, I mean, my heart always went out at her, who came to us daily, on a daily basis, to deal with the pandemic. The medical chief of staff, the nurses at the hospital, I mean, those in the health operations committee, I think it's called, and the NEOC. I mean, these, for 2 years, we had to deal with something never seen in our lifetime. A pandemic that brought the entire world to a halt, to a complete halt. Nothing was going on. I was telling a friend of mine, we were fortunate that we had the services of the tropical shipping, for example, that came every week during the pandemic. So we could get our foodstuff via Florida. Imagine if that tropical ship never came. But instead now of trying to ensure we have food security, what they're doing, playing politics. And for those of you who are encouraging me, yes, to go on. I was born, I was raised, and I still live in this country. And they say the wages of sin is death. So if I die, I sin and I die, then I will die in St. Kitts. St. Kitts is my born land, I say. And nobody is going to shut me up. When I see good, I commend you for the good. If you're doing wrong, I chastise you. And you do the same with me. I like criticism. I can entertain that. But nobody can tell me to hush, because all I speak is the truth. And there's one thing you cannot hide, is the truth. There are two other things you cannot hide as well, is the truth. So my Straight Talk family, you fear not. I've been threatened, I've been, called all sorts of things. But as long as you're speaking the truth, you need not worry. You need not worry at all. And I'm not going to worry, because I always speak the truth. I try to keep a good head and a good heart. And according to Nelson Mandela, that will always be a formidable combination. Yes, my family, we are living in some difficult times. We are living in some unpredictable times. We are living in a world that's filled with complexity. But fear not. Fear not, my people. We've heard the socio-economic agenda. And what have we heard about the three most important things that governments all around the world are concerned about? Food, shelter, transportation. You've heard from the IMF that next year, the inflation, you heard of the inflation rate. I understand that the governor of the central bank made a presentation today. I'll perhaps have to listen to it tomorrow. I didn't get time to listen to it today. Well, what about our fiscal buffers? Why is the state secrets being allowed? No. You must be a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Let us know what's happening. If you sign an MOU, tell us what's in the MOU. What are we to benefit from the signature on the MOU? These are things we need to know. You talk about transparency. You talk about good governance. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
Patches.
Yes, my brother.
Patches.
Yes, Jamdon.
Patches. We and the road, poor people, street people. We want to ask Dr. Joe to take a visit down in the market and see that everything down in the market where used to be $3 and $4 a pound down to $5 and $6 a pound. And he must take these things into consideration, because he saw he coming different. And a warning, Dr. Joe, a warning, Dr. Joe. Do not set the poor people aside. All the only can see what the poor is saying, then the forecast is very high. Poor people balling. Have a good night, Patches.
Yes, my brother, have a good night. So yes, as we go on the uphill side of 10 o'clock. And those of you who may have just joined me, tonight we looked at the historical opening session of Parliament, which was on Tuesday, the 25th. There's a parliamentary session today as well. There's a parliamentary session today. I'll tell you some more about that. Let's go to this caller. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, you're live.
No, it's some kind of change on my phone.
Beg pardon?
Yeah. Hello, good night. I will practice. I listen to you on the radio. And I send those sympathy for Dr. Joe and the person like cousin who do the society today. Thank you.
Is his cousin?
Society today.
Okay. Is his cousin, you said? Well, we extend our sympathies to the Prime Minister as well, if you are accurate. But I saw an excerpt of the presentation made by Dr. Harris today. When those on the government benches were trying to make the point I was saying earlier, that the actions taken by the last administration during the 2020 period of the COVID. And, you know, as if the government did nothing right. Everything was political, and it was sad. And I was going to say earlier, it was really refreshing when the member from number 11 made the point to defend the government of which he was a part. And here's an excerpt I saw from the presentation as well made by the member from number 7 and former Prime Minister. And I quote, he says, "My administration makes no apology for the critical goal of putting the safety of people first, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis first, when faced with dealing with the COVID pandemic." He went on, "We in St. Kitts and Nevis were lucky to have had a competent government," so true, "notwithstanding the structural limits on its size and resources, our country was able to respond to this historic pandemic and to excellently manage the pandemic, setting the standards for others to emulate. Our Life First strategy provided the strategic actions that underscored decision making. We relied on a very competent group of public servants coming together under the rubric of the National Task Force to professionally guide and support government actions on the matter. Our all-of-society approach allowed for government, church, chamber of industry and commerce, and all citizens to have input and support national actions to suppress and control the pandemic. And this is an excerpt from the presentation made by the Honorable Dr. Timothy Sylvester Harris in the Federal Parliament today, Thursday, October 27th. And it was really refreshing that someone had the courage to put the records straight, or to make the records straight. And my people, as I said, the re-registration of the PAP, we will await the details as it relates to the modalities. The revamping of the peace program. These are issues that we will anxiously, with a bated breath, try to understand how they are going to be done. Because when one looks at the peace program, for example, when we reflect from a high of 36 homicides in 2013, I think it was, and by 2000 and let's get up to date, by 2021, there were 11 or 12 homicides. So from a high of 36 to 11 or 12 homicides, 12 or 11 too many, but at least you saw the trajectory where it came from and where we are today. So how can we bash the peace program? We must give credit where credit is due. As I said, we must be magnanimous. We seem to have lost that all of a sudden, my Stray Dog family. And that to me is troubling. Very, very troubling. Because, you see, no one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. And when we can become intolerant, we have to be concerned. And as I said earlier, and as I wind down tonight's programming as well, having listened to the full content of the throne speech, I was pleased to note that the new Labour administration have decided, and rightly so, to continue some of the programs introduced by its predecessor. Because that's what it is. Government is continuous. The same way you continue using the budget which was passed by the same Prime Minister who you vilify every day. He went to the Parliament as the Minister of Finance, tabled the budget estimates for the fiscal year, for the very money you are spending now. But he wasn't incompetent then. But you're spending from the budget he approved. But other things you discard. So, I am happy from the actions, at least in some quarters, you suggest that you agree that government is continuous. Many promises were made, and some of which have stood out in my mind. And the important takeaways from the throne speech, as I mentioned earlier, was the PAP re-registration. And we look forward to the rollout of that particular process in terms of re-registration of those on the PAP program.
Social safety net to truly empower the most vulnerable and improve their standard of living, thereby eradicating indigence and significantly reducing poverty. We are also well advanced with the rollout of the re-registration process. Citizens and residents enrolled in the PAP will therefore be reassessed based on need. We also strongly believe that there should be a process to wean persons off the program. In this regard, our government will introduce special programs to assist recipients to improve their lot so that they can graduate out of the program and create space for others needing the support. This approach will ensure the success, sustainability, and longevity of the PAP and other important social safety net programs.
The other takeaway as well was the revamping, those are my words, the revamping of the peace program.
The Alternative Lifestyle Pathway Program, better known as the Peace Program, and the way it has operated since its introduction, our government believes that most citizens would agree that there is a better way for empowering our at-risk young men and women. Our government will improve the Peace Program by making skills training an integral component for the participation of each beneficiary. Young men and women enrolled in the Peace Initiative would be given the opportunity to learn a marketable skill and will be provided with support to either acquire gainful employment or opportunities to start their own businesses. Participants in this program will also have a pathway for development and graduation. It is envisaged that the program's graduates would become more positive and productive citizens and contribute to the overall development of the Federation.
So, the other takeaway as well, my Straight Dog family, is the promise, constitutional, electoral, and legislative reform, which we have promised.
We intend to activate the Electoral Boundaries Commission to review and revise our present electoral boundaries, which can help to pave the way for the much-needed electoral reform. We wish for voters to have the utmost confidence in our electoral system. Our government will embark on a consultative process to achieve the long-awaited constitutional, electoral, and legislative reforms.
Long-awaited, yes, my Straight Dog family. And we hope and trust we will not have to wait much longer. But we want real reforms, reforms that reflect the views of the people. And for those of you who send your messages and trying to drive the car in the rearview mirror, if you said that the former Prime Minister Harris didn't do this or didn't do that and it was wrong, then it was wrong. But if it was wrong, how on earth it will come right if you do the same thing? Two wrongs could never make a right. And we're saying, let's be magnanimous. Come on, let's move on. Let's move on. And we want to be transparent. And I'm not going to belabor the point, but I'm going to make it until we get the information. If you said that the CBI was so bad, things were happening, even though under the former administration, under the Douglas leadership, it was corrupt. We lost our visa-free status. It was sanctioned by the mighty USA. So, why are we hiding now? Why shouldn't there be transparency? I am not going to stop until we get the information. I don't care if those of the Fourth Estate want to protect them. I want the facts. And I listened, as I said, I listened to the new Prime Minister of England, Rishi Sunak, who promised his people accountability. And he spoke as well about trust.
The aftermath of COVID still lingers. Putin's war in Ukraine has destabilized energy markets and supply chains the world over. I want to pay tribute to my predecessor, Liz Truss. She was not wrong to want to improve growth in this country, but some mistakes were made. And I have been elected as leader of my party and your Prime Minister to fix them. I will unite our country, not with words, but with action. This government will have integrity, professionalism, and accountability at every level. Trust is earned, and I will earn yours.
Trust is earned. To try to earn the trust of the people. That is $1,000 income assistance for people who lost their jobs during the pandemic, families with children with disabilities, fuel for bus drivers. The former Prime Minister Timothy Harris reminded them today. I hope they were listening. That was a Prime Minister who cares about people, not just talk, reads that email. So true is the only way one can respond to that. It's 6 before the 10 o'clock hour as we wind down tonight's programming. And tonight, as I said, we looked at and reflected on the historic opening session of the Parliament. It was historic in many ways. It was historic and opened on Tuesday last with much pomp and ceremony at the Royal St. Kitts Marriott Hotel in Frigate Bay. And for those of you who joined me late, I made mention earlier that the Federation got a glimpse of Her Excellency Marcella Liburd in what many predict will be her future role. Because in the absence of the Governor General, Sir S.W. Tapley Seaton, the current representative of Her Majesty the King, Charles, the Governor General's deputy read the throne speech. But as we wind down, I'll perhaps take 2 more calls. Make this my penultimate call for the night. Caller, you're live.
Yeah, 2 plus 2, take 4 more calls. That is, I say I done, but I had to come back here. You know, after I hear you talking about the amount of passports already been sold, well, I always said there should be a limit of how many passports supposed to be should be sold to foreigners like them people from them wicked people who trying to hide the place of birth. So they're running coming for our passport. Now, our population is not 60,000. And I am sure that more people out there got passport than our population here. So that's why they want to come here, come get free land to plant marijuana and have the locals tell them who don't run all kind of got from police, from marijuana, have them working in the field, and then they get the big lump sum and go with it. That is what they're after, to come here. But we better watch out. We better watch out, because our island small, population small, and then they'll get a passport bigger than our population. Have a good night, brother. Get home safe.
Have a good night as well. Thanks for your interventions, as usual. Always very assertive, to the point. Always welcome your comments. But my people, as we wind on, and since you mentioned the passports, we should not take it lightly. And do not allow them to fool you and pretend you don't care about how many passports are sold. That to me is an irresponsible stance you're taking. Because we've heard, we cannot confirm, we've heard that there are 30,000 passports that have been processed since the inception of the CBI. That figure has not been denied, it has not been confirmed and or clarified. But this information must be important to the country, as these economic citizens, whether they come from Nigeria, there are a lot from China, there are quite a lot from Russia and other countries. They can, my straight dog family, contribute to the increasing inequalities and unequal representation of different socio-economic classes within the country. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Yeah, good night, brother. Practice.
How are you, my brother? Good night.
Oh, great. Nice to see you. You're looking wonderful, man.
I'm feeling wonderful, thank God. What about yourself?
Oh, I'm great. You know, I'm a Zulu.
I thought I recognized the voice.
Oh, my brother, it's so good to see you.
New York, right? New York in the house.
Looking at you on this video and on the screen, you're looking so marvelous, you know?
I'm humbled, my brother. I'm humbled. I feel good.
Also,
thank God.
I knowing as things going on right now, I know you're so humble, but I want to beg you to just keep things okay.
I will.
I can't hear you really.
I will try my best, my brother. I will try my best. I'm
always, you know, Patches.
Yes.
Listen to me. Let me say. We are people and we're going to strive as much as we can, regardless to what. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm listening.
Yes. Okay, so therefore, listen, stay strong and keep strong and let the world be in your hands. You're a good man. Let the nation know that you're watching, you're paying attention, and you will do everything you strive to make things right. Tell culture and all the rest of them to behave themselves and be in your hand.
Okay, my brother. Thanks for your input. Good to hear you. Have yourself a wonderful
Tell my Zulu, maybe I'll come home for Christmas.
I look forward to that.
Maybe. Okay, great. We'll see you soon.
Look forward to that. Have yourself a good night. I'll take this.
Okay, great.
Thank you. I'll take this and make this my final call for tonight. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
You can hear me?
Yes, I am hearing you loud and clear. You're my final caller.
How long Mr. Tapley's been working?
How long he's working?
How long he's a Governor General?
Wow, good question. I think he was appointed Governor General. I stand to be corrected. I think somewhere around 2016 or thereabout. I stand to be corrected. I'll give you the exact date.
Okay, the reason why I asked that, how come that they want to, that mean to say he was working when the boys they were getting paid?
Who boys?
Huh?
Who boys are you referring to?
The boys they just be paying what they say they're going to send them go work and so.
I mean the peace.
And the reason why I said that, how come now he can write that about the boys them? You could see it's something them make up. He ain't write all of them things there. It's them make it up. And they don't have nothing in the speech about...
Well, the throne speech is not written by the Governor General. The Governor General only reads the throne speech. The throne speech is written by the government.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
No, it's not. The Governor General...
They are not in the speech about the cost of living, how high it be, and how they could help people. But maybe everything gonna come from Russia free because it's they have a passport. Okay then, good night.
Have yourself a good night. Thanks for your input. That's where we're gonna end it with your calls tonight. Mr. Patches, good night. Read this email. Very good show tonight. Keep pressing for the answers to the questions that you are seeking. I was flabbergasted by the behavior of our citizens being rude to former Prime Minister Sir Timothy. However, the behavior of fools do not define who he is. Stay strong. Reads that email. That's the way we're going to end it, my Stray Dog family, because my time is done and I've got to run. As I said to you before, and in winding up my Stray Dog family, it's important to note that whether you like it or not, it's important that we understand the impact, negative and or otherwise, that all these citizens outside can have if and when they come to St. Kitts in terms of the unequal representation of the socio-economic classes, the different ones. The CBI program must be run in a manner which is legal and transparent and in keeping with the Constitution. I am talking about now. This is what we should clamor for. Prevent corruption and also establish sound legal rights to these citizenships. I also want to, in closing, remind us all that the PAP program and the peace initiative, I believe that yes, we should strive to improve them, because I'm a strong proponent of continuous improvement. So I welcome the introduction of measures to reduce any corrupt practices within the PAP program. Also, introduction of processes that hopefully will improve the services and ensure the sustainability of these social safety net programs that are supported by the government. I, however, warn that these improvements cannot happen overnight. They cannot be implemented all at once. So we must be careful with the possible disruption of the lives of the vulnerable lot amongst us. Also, the possible deepening of poverty in our country. Yes, you made a commitment of mending, not ending, mending the PAP program. You told us up to $1,500 per month per family. We are holding you to that. But, my Straight Dog family, the continuous improvement of the peace program as well, I welcome. The constitutional, electoral, and legislative reform, I agree. They are long overdue. So as we embark upon this process, we look forward to consultation. As we continue to build our past achievements to ensure the sustainable development of our federation, 2 islands, 1 lovely paradise. We cannot forget, though, my Straight Dog family, that in these difficult times, these unpredictable times, in these times of complexity, we cannot forget the bread and butter issues: food, shelter, transport. Haven't heard about housing. Haven't heard about food security. Not a lot, at least. But in my view, nonetheless, as I wind up tonight, irrespective of the behavior, irresponsible behavior of those in the House of Parliament, to me, it was an historic opening session of Parliament. But now it's time for nation building. That's my story for tonight, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, and as always, I want to thank all those who listen on social media, Facebook, YouTube, and other social media. I want to thank those who were locked into Win FM, our partner station, Win FM 98.9, our partner station. And for those who sent emails, for those who called, or for those who just listen on whatever medium, those who send emails as well. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's willing, we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until then, have yourselves a good weekend, a blessed weekend, my Straight Talk family. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you must believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.
For the morning light, give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night, for the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceive, that I will achieve, you better believe. Be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, to the Lord I kneel and pray. My heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day. My God,